Hey, good morning. Thanks for taking just these couple of minutes with me here this morning. I want to just touch on an area that I think is actually a bigger problem, a bigger issue for Christians than we realize sometimes. I'm talking about the tendency sometimes for preachers and ministers to refer to the way God spoke to them in such clear terms. You know, God was telling me to do this, and always do what Jesus tells you to do, and the Lord told me to read, Psalm 145, and it didn't seem to make sense to me, but then, and those kinds of things. And I'm not doubting that the Lord speaks to these people, because he speaks to me and he speaks to you. But sometimes the way those things are said create a real apparent distance between those that are ministering and serving God's people and those who are God's people who are receiving. Sometimes the impression is left that these people are just in a zone that we can't possibly get to, and it can be discouraging for people. And I think sometimes, even though God calls people and he speaks to people for sure, and he sets people in place, no question, and you need to hear from people that God has sent, no question, but sometimes it's framed in such a way that it's like it puts people almost in a superhero status, and that's not what the Lord wants, and that's not what helps people to flourish so much. I want you to know that God is speaking to you by his Spirit, and that sometimes when people say these things so clearly, because most often you see God doesn't speak with words. He most often doesn't. He'll give you a vision. You'll see something, you'll catch something in your heart, or he'll give you an impression. And most of the time, he leads all his people, including those that preach and minister, is by what they call an inward witness in Romans 8. It's an inward knowing. It's an impression. It's a sense. It's a yes/no button. It's a sense of something. It's very rarely in clear words. And I think sometimes they misrepresent, or they can misrepresent the way that the Lord speaks. He's speaking to you today, and the best way to break through to that is to make time to be in his presence. Pray in the Spirit, worship. Those things will open the gates of heaven. Stuff will flow down. And do your best to open your ears and tune to what you feel like God is saying. I want you to know that's important. God's speaking to you today. Even as we're speaking now, I'm conscious of the Holy Spirit on what I'm saying. And I trust that you have a brilliant day and that you hear his voice more clearly. God bless you. Bye now.